Still alive?
No, they died. But what happened with Senghor, Nicolas Senghor, the Franco 92? He wanted to build the black philosophy. So what he made was an African interpretation of West philosophy. That's not black philosophy.
Right.
So what we not do, that's why white people tell us what. But it's sweet, but I love it.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Okay.
So I saw things that I don't ever want to remember, but I constantly challenge myself to, because I want people to not forget. Because even today's generation of Cubans don't know those stories. So if I don't tell them, if I don't talk, I have this big saying that if you don't know where you're coming, you don't know where you're gonna go. And history has a tendency to repeat itself because we don't know our history. We don't know we've already been there.
Trying to see where you were with that one. Okay. I
What
didn't want to have to hit it. But this 9-year-old.
Yes.
She wrote the essay.
She did. She wrote an essay and telling her story, and as she was writing this essay, she realized it wasn't just her story. You know, it was a story of many children that came during that time. It was a story of her parents, mostly her mother, how her mother basically was disposed of her soul. My mother never went back to Cuba. She's never stepped foot back in, even with her mother living there, because it was just too much for her, and she was never the same person. I had a mother in Cuba, and I had another mother in the United States. Two different people. And so, because of all the traumatic experiences that I went through, when I got here to the United States, basically when we went to California, to Los Angeles, I stopped speaking. And I had to learn 2 years after, I had to learn to speak from scratch. That's why you don't hear a lot of accent in my English. Not because I'm better than anyone else, it's just that I had to learn my ABCs. In English.
So you're the Cuban, I know why the cage bird sings.
Yes.
Now, when we speak of this story, will you now that you have grandchildren or a grandchild, will you now tell this story in a children's version?
I am actually, my daughter gave me a book to tell my story to my granddaughter. That was my Mother's Day present. It was the best present I've had. So I'm hoping that I will be able to do that from a standpoint where they would be able to understand it.
Una novela de Iskra. You see, we don't know the stories. The modern day folks here in 2022, let's date and timestamp this, August 15th, 2022, they hear of a boat every now and then coming up to Florida and what the American government does, whether we're going to hold on, incarcerate, or decide, okay, we're going to send you back. They don't know history of flotillas and movement.
And this is actually, and I tell this all time and time again, this is not just a Cuban history. This is American history. You had 125,000 Cubans migrate to the United States in 3-4 months time. I mean,
that's a lot of people.
A lot of people. This changed the history of our country, of this country. The Mariel Boatlift changed the history of America. It's part of our history. And it's not in any books. It's not, it's nowhere to be found. And, we need to tell those stories. And like there's thousands, obviously, but of course, I tell mine. This is the one I know. and I know that it relates to a lot of other people.
Let me ask you something. Have you processed the word sin? Have you processed it? It is synthesized in your life, or you are still struggling?
I still struggle with it. To be honest with you, the first time when I wrote this story a couple of years back, within my family, we've never talked about it. We never talked about what we went through. We never talked about the mosquito, even in our family. 13 of us came from in our family members. 13 people. Of those 13, 5 of us were my generation. We were kids. My middle cousin was 3 years old, and my oldest cousin was 10. So between 3 and 10, 5 children. And we never talked to each other about it. When I posted in my story, my essay on Facebook, my cousins put comments on it that they still have nightmares from that.
So when
And
we
we've
speak
never
of
talked about it.
mental health,
We've never talked about it. So I think these are stories that need to be told because we need to get them out. It's for us and for others.
Okay, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
and that will also help to fill in. I was going to use another word, but that word wasn't right. To fill in the gaps in the story of the Cuban immigrant and who that person is. We have various, because everybody wants to give us the story of who entered where, when, why, and what time.
Right.
And we know that, okay, then this part of history, and we interred the Japanese, and then they made it through, and then you have those that you did with the Chinese. But this is modern day today.
Listen, Brenda, when I came here in 1980, there was so much discrimination against the people that were coming with us that when I entered the 3rd grade, I remember it was the first time I ever slapped a little boy. Because he tried to touch my behind. We were the garbage. We were here to take away everybody's jobs. We were, because that's obviously part of what the Cuban government information that was being sold, right? So we were, very discriminated upon. Not just by Americans, also by Cubans. By Cubans from previous generations, by the Cubans that came in the 60s. So it wasn't just, by Americans.
But the Cubans that came in the 60s were discriminated.
Yes,
I know
of
the
course.
history of it.
Of course. But then they discriminated against us. They did.
Mm-hmm.
They did. Of course they did.
As we did with the 94.
With the 94. Of course, and it continues.
It's like we turned it into a very strange migrational rite of passage.
Yes.
That's what it becomes.
Yes.
We're not, no, we didn't have it easy. Yes, we had some laws change. Yes, we had some things happen, but no, it's not going to be that easy for you to come in.
Well,
Or while you're here, we're not going to make it that easy for you to deal with the assimilation process. Because that's what they don't prepare a lot of people for.
I think currently, like right now, I'm having to deal with, just came from Cuba through Mexico, and I'm dealing with that right now. And the difference is when we came from Cuba, we knew we were leaving. We didn't know when we were coming back, or if we were ever coming back. We were psychologically prepared to never come back.
That's true.
Right?
I have it clear. I will never come back. I told
Right.
everybody I will not come back.
Right. So my parents, didn't go back. My grandparents didn't go back. They died hoping to go back to a free Cuba.
But nothing else.
But nothing else. The difference now is they're asking political asylum to the United States,
To come back.
and yet a year and one day after, they're back in Cuba.
Okay, but you can see the same struggle. But you can see the same struggle with the people that came in the 60s. When they saw the people that came in the 94 that were willing to come back to Cuba as tourists.
Right. It was unethical, and you know, I was hoping for a change when Obama, when I was all for it. We all were. We wanted.
Hold on.
Right. I dreamed of it. I was so happy to see, the United States flag when the embassy opened. It was a whole ceremony. Brenda knows. We opened a bed and breakfast in Cuba. We helped the people around us, to sell them. And unfortunately, Cuba didn't hold their side of the bargain.
we were naive.
Yes, we were.
Okay, but even Black Americans get disappointed. Even Black Americans get disappointed. I saw from the beginning.
Right.
Okay, of course I was glad, but
I was skeptical too at the beginning.
I was glad. My process, I compared it to that of Colin Powell.
Right.
Okay, we now we have a president.
Right.
We have a black person there. So, but that's all we have. Nothing else.
It's a president. It's like, listen, the color's not gonna matter right now.
We even pay a lot
to get
to
there.
get the president because it's the deception of everybody else. But okay, now we have a president. Before that, we don't have a president. And we can say we pay a lot. Okay, nobody knows how much it costs to send a president. Okay, so now we have a president. So it's okay. I will not complain. I have a president, but don't tell me nothing else besides that.
No, because we need to control Congress, we need to control Senate, we need to control the state houses across the country.
Well, but I think, look, and that's what makes this country what it is, right? There is a separation of duties. There, you have to have that. You have to have that.
Yeah, that's it. And you have to fight. It will cost you your life.
Yes.
You have to have it.
Right. But imagine in a world like Cuba where the government controls everything. There's no way to do it.
It is hard to fathom. I see people making trips to Cuba, whether it's from various different islands or other countries, and they're going to Cuba, and then you're hearing of the reality of the various types of rationing and this, that, and the other that is going on. I'm like, how are you continually showing me this great tourist shots in the midst of what appears to be rationing on simple...
Because they don't walk 3 or 4 blocks to the other side of Cuba.
Yeah, because see, I'm not trying to go to the sweet spots.
No,
I already done told him. Like one of the...
reality. The only way is to bring the wire.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
But you can see, because it's time for people to ask, when Asian people complain, when they come to Cuba by accident, they complain that they want to go back to Haiti.
Exactly. If Haitians want to go back to Haiti, because they don't like how they're being treated in Cuba, imagine.
Wow.
They want to go back to Haiti. They complain to Cuban government because they want to be sent back to Haiti.
Right.
That's deep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
It is.
It's when we talk about third world countries, we don't put Cuba in the mix.
Run that one again. When we talk about third world countries,
we don't put Cuba in the mix because they've done such a great job.
Cuba is the third world country.
But it's worse
Yeah.
Then the third world countries. Look, the people that are coming now, that are immigrating now, they're going through Nicaragua and they're going through all of these places. And in the middle of nowhere, they have realized that there's food, there is a supermarket where they can go freely and buy things.
Yes.
And they can find all their necessities. And I'm talking about rural areas. And yet in my country, you can't do that.
But you can see their material in YouTube. You can see when you ask children in Cuba what you want to be when you grow up, they say, I want to be a foreigner. I want to be a puta.
I want to be a tourist. That's what they want to grow up to be.
I want to be a tourist. I want to be a hook. All right? A girl of 9 and 11 years old is telling, I want to be a hook because I can't get the foreigner money. With that rationality. They say that with that rationality. Okay? I want to be a jinetero. A child of 10 years old telling you, I want to be a jinetero.
Yeah.
It's not engineer, no doctor, no teacher, no president, no cosmonaut, just hooks, jinetero, tourists.
Well, because they've seen their parents that have gone to the university, they've become doctors, they've become lawyers, they become all of this, and they're now nothing.
Yeah.
And they have nothing.
Yes.
But then, of course, the people that are in these other types, they have everything.
The person that is at this watcher here is sending money to the doctors there. To the family who is a doctor or an engineer.
That's what people don't understand, and that's the mentality we need to change, because
remittances change everybody's life, okay?
But the remittances are going to the higher class people. They're not going to the black poor people.
So
now the difference in economic scales is bigger. I see a bigger gap now
than before. Okay, now, when you talk to people say, but you can become a doctor in Cuba. So what? For what?
Because I was about to say you have darn good medical schools and things going. What country? One country I saw the other day.
Sending money from the watching teachers in Miami.
Was it Nigeria? I think it was Nigeria said they weren't taking any more foreign medical students. It was one of the countries that said, listen, we're not taking any more foreign medical students because we just need to train our own because we keep losing our numbers because they're migrating.
So Cuba doctors became an exchange for Fidel. He did it very well in the 60s. He started in Africa. So when he saw how much he was gonna make from this, he capitalized on it.
Yes.
And it still works today.
It's not only political, it made money.
Yes, he did both.
He made money
and then of course he used it to say, we are the good people. We're doing all this good. And
we're humanitarian.
We're humanitarian.
Yeah.
But they were making a lot of money with it.
And they still have to, because Jamaica has a similar brain drain. So when folks are leaving to go all over the place, everybody knows Jamaica's filled with Cuban doctors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, heck, there was one day I'm sitting up there, I'm like, again, I had Cuba on the brain, and went out to Port Royal, went over to the side, and what's coming out the water? Kabisile Shango. Oh, it's a priest of Shango. I'm like, okay, I don't have to go to Cuba just yet. They're here. Because my thing is, I went looking for, because I had just missed his bimbe. I met him like the Tuesday. Over the weekend, that Sunday, he had just had the anniversary, like for his 20th Ocha birthday. Oh, wow. I missed a big bimbe in Jamaica. I'm going to get it, though. But it's these cultural cross norms that like I was telling them, we don't always get to have these exchanges, and unless we set them up specifically, because we live in a space and place where number-wise, if we get into the right type of room with the right food, we may appear to have numbers. Otherwise, in terms of a general meeting, no.
Celia.
Yo no creo.
Yeah, I got my family. Look at that, look at that, look at that. Yes, baby. Yes. You got to keep doing what? Connecting the dots across the diaspora. Today I got a double dose of Cuba.